Hello and welcome back to another episode of the On the Sideline podcast with Jackson and Kyle. I am Jackson, and I am joined here, as always, by the man who is just as depressed as I am with this weekend and how football went. Kyle, how are you doing?
I'm doing okay. It was a rough week.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I guess I'll just leave it at that. It was a rough week for both of us, weekend for both of us. Valdosta State lost in the championship for me. I was out in sub 40-degree weather. That stunk, and watched that
Mm-hmm.
entire game. And then I went and rewatched the Patriots, which was just as disgusting. And then I had to watch your team, which was even more disgusting tonight.
Yeah, condolences to everyone who had to watch my favorite team. And listen, I think the two fan bases people really feel bad for right now are Buccaneers and Patriots fans.
Yeah. I mean, definitely just two down on their luck franchises right now.
Right.
Just can't get anything going. They haven't won in quite a while. So rough weekend for them. Just digging their graves even further.
Yes, exactly. Well, let's just jump into it. Let's just start there with the. This was a tough performance for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Maybe, I mean, I don't know. The way I view this, am I crazy for not being that worried about this loss, Kyle? Because the way I view this, the Saints always give us trouble. They stop the run very well, and they'll play a lot of two safety deep and still be able to stop the run. We then lose, our top two receivers. We're already down Antonio Brown, so this means our top three receivers are out. Obviously, you still want to find a way to put up points. Like getting a zero spot is never good, regardless of the situation. But I think that there's maybe not even like excusing all of it, but this situation, hopefully in the playoffs, is not going to happen again for Tampa Bay.
Yeah, I'm not worried either. Look, I mean, this Saints team is going to be 3-0 against the Buccaneers and the Packers in the regular season, and probably miss the playoffs.
Maybe. I
Then
mean, they got a shot.
yeah, they have a shot. So I mean, we'll see what happens. But it's just this Bucks team. I mean, Brady just hasn't really cracked this code, and he's seen this team now 5 times in the last 2 years, and it just seems like he hasn't really cracked the code of this team. And this defense is also really well constructed to stop them, because a lot of the things they do really well kind of frustrate Brady in this offense. They rush the passer really well. They got athletic, incredible pass rushers in their group. They got Demario Davis, who one of the best linebackers in football, especially I think he's amazing in coverage. And
Mm-hmm.
then they got this Malcolm Jenkins piece, which just takes out Gronk for a long stretches of the game, because he basically has the size and speed to cover him. And then the one thing I thought had happened in this game is that this shell coverage that they run obviously works, preventing the deep ball. And then once the Tampa Bay receivers went down, it was over. Once Evans and Godwin went down, there was just nothing the Buccaneers could do, because these guys were not going to get open on the Saints defensive players. And then even when the secondary did give up a reception, they tackle exceptionally well, because everything's underneath for Brady in this game because they're playing deep. But when everything's underneath and you're still tackling the guy and there's barely any yak in the game,
Mm-hmm.
it's tough to find points in that situation. You have to have basically 10, 12, 13 play drives run perfectly, and they just couldn't do that in this game.
Yeah. Zachary Stewart says, Super Chat, I just feel bad for Tom Brady. He put up an incredible defensive performance, limiting the Saints to 9 points. Gronk also didn't recover that fumble. Sad. Sure. Back to the, I guess that's the sort of a reference to the idea that Brady gets credit when the defense performs well, which might be true to some degree. Here's a good question, though. Elijah in the chat says, why was the Buccaneers O-line struggling to protect Brady so much? Or was it the pressure mainly the only problem because guys weren't getting open early enough? I thought it was the pressure is good. And like they get pressure on the interior. That's kind of one of the things about them is they're one of the few defensive lines who can kind of push the Buccaneers offensive line around a little, just like strength wise. So that's an aspect. But yeah, I mean, guys aren't getting open. So Brady has to hold on to the ball longer. And also, they know passing plays are coming. You can't run the ball well. So they can just sort of purely do pass rush. So I thought that it was a combination of mostly those two things for that. The reality is, I mean, it's like, okay, when you're throwing up, your best options are throwing up one-on-ones for Jalen Dardine trying to get open against like Marshawn Lattimore. Like it's going to be tough to get open. And it worked on both sides. I didn't even think Taysom Hill was that bad either. I thought that part of it was, other than Marquez Callaway, basically no one did anything for the Saints offense receiving wise that way. Can't get guys open. Like not much is going to happen.
Well, yeah, not much happened in this game for the Bucks. I think the one
Mhm.
thing that the Saints did do well offensively is they didn't take terrible sacks and they didn't turn over the ball, which obviously
Yep.
was the big thing because
Mhm.
it seemed like whenever Tampa Bay started to figure out and get some momentum a little bit, it was a huge sack on third down that drove them back. It was the fumble in the red zone. Things like that just seemed to keep happening in this game that even when they started to move the ball a little bit, it kind of derailed the drive. And then obviously, losing uh, you know, basically your best three offensive players in this game, Edward Evans, Godwin, and Fournette, all at one
Mhm.
point. You know, it doesn't help in that regard either. So yeah, I mean, I don't think Taysom Hill was great in this game, but he took care of the football and did exactly what he needed to do. Because we've definitely given him some crap when he puts the ball on the ground, which he does a lot. He didn't do
Mhm.
it in this game, especially when they needed him to take care of it.
Yeah. In fairness, he did throw one directly to Andrew Adams, who dropped it. So,
Yes.
there's some luck in there as well, of course. But the reality is, I mean, I don't know anyone who can win down your top three receivers when you're not running the ball and the other team doesn't turn the ball over. Like I tweeted,
Yeah.
like, how is it even possible at that point? So, I don't know. Good win for the Saints. I mean, you got to give credit to the Saints. This defense is good. Let's see. It's here every stream. Just wanted to show some love. We appreciate that. CC Ski Berry, however you pronounce that. We appreciate the super chat. So yeah, got to give credit to the Saints. You kind of said like they probably won't make the playoffs. I think they will make the playoffs at this point. I mean, their schedule is relatively easy. Both the Dolphins, the Panthers, and the Falcons to finish up the season. And I believe if the season ended today, they would be in a playoff spot. Now Minnesota, Washington, and Philadelphia all play, and they're just a half game back. So one of them it'll probably be a tie for the playoff spot. But there's a good chance the Saints get that 7 seed. And at that point, I'm saying, hey, let's get away from that 2 seed. Let's get the 3 seed. Let's avoid them if we can.
Uh, don't say that. Don't say that the Miami Dolphins are an easy win for the Saints.
I'm not saying it's easy. That's
Yeah,
that's their tough matchup. The great
yeah.
Miami Dolphins, who
You know,
tore apart, were able to hang in there and get a 1-score victory over the best team in football.
dominated the Jets today. Really showed themselves as a playoff
uh
contender. Um, you know, they're obviously a great team, one of the best in the NFL. So
Okay,
gotta
back
want
on
that.
subject. Back to the Saints Buccaneers. Kyle, weirdly, the way I'm taking solace in this is it's all part of the plan. Lose to the Saints twice in the regular season. This is how we get to the Super Bowl and win it.
I mean, I could see it. I still think they're
Mhm.
one of the two best teams
Yeah.
in the NFC.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, everybody's got weird losses. For some reason, it just keeps being this team for the Buccaneers.
Hmm.
So I don't quite get that, but it's a you know, it's a it's a weird game. They'll be fine, and I don't think they're going to miss their 4 of their 5 best offensive players for the rest of the year. So I think they're going to be fine.
Yeah, that's really what it comes down to. Is I think that they will be better off. So should be interesting. Two very good teams down the stretch. Let's move on. Why don't we? You know what? I'm gonna pull an audible here and go with something that wasn't go just because we already talked about it. I think let's not pretend like we're ESPN and do the headliners first. Let's play to us. Let's talk Jets Dolphins. This is something very much tied into the On the Sideline podcast at this point. Both of these two teams. Uh, yeah. So, Kyle, why don't you take the floor here so you get the heat for this one?
Oh my gosh, this game was just stupid. I was just watching this thing and it's like, okay, the Jets basically just thought the game was over at halftime and they had it won. And I was
Hmm.
watching this game and I'm like, all right, well, it was what 17-10 at halftime. I'm like, well, the Dolphins probably win now.
Uh
The
huh.
Dolphins did everything they could not to win this game. They started to move the ball pretty well. Tua throws a back-breaking pick six, but
Hmm.
then they managed to go back down the field and score again. Um, yeah, I mean, look, the Jets played pretty well in the first half. I liked what they were doing. I like what Zach Wilson was doing, but you need it for 4 quarters. You can't have whatever. What was it? It was like 20 yards at one point in the second half, and it just seemed like the Dolphins had the ball forever in the second half. They the time of possession was skewed in their favor. The play numbers were skewed in their favor. They kept getting first downs, and the Jets couldn't get off the field.
Yeah. Dolphins end up turning the ball over 3 times to the Jets, just 1 turnover. It was weird. It kind of felt like this was like both quarterbacks were in the first half had like done some sort of Freaky Friday where Zach Wilson was like this, check down king all of a sudden, and Tua was the guy making bad interceptions. It looked the complete opposite. Tua had a couple of not great turnovers. There's one that could have been another one as well. Again, he made some really good throws as well. This was an up and down performance for Tua. I don't think that Tua was bad. I actually might even still think Tua was the better quarterback in this one, despite all of the turnovers. But for Zach Wilson, for the Jets, he's getting the little stuff down, which is what you want, because that's been the stuff that's given him the most trouble. Throwing across his body 40 yards down the field, no problem. 6 yards down the field to a check down, might as well be, trying to throw it 100 yards. You can't get it.
Yeah, he had another one in this game that he completely airmailed a running back, and it was late in the game. I think it was a third down that set
there
up.
Was a couple late in the fourth quarter. He did.
Yeah, I think he had one in particular that was like a 3rd and 10, and it would have set up like a 4th and 4 opportunity if he completed the pass. And instead, he just missed the guy completely, and it set up a 4th and 10. So yeah, I mean, he's getting better. I thought he had some really good moments in the first half, obviously, when they scored 17 points, but it is a growing process. And then the Dolphins just kind of took over in this game. Duke Johnson goes off like. You're a bad football team when you're letting Duke Johnson go off, right?
Yeah. The one thing I'll say about the Dolphins is they lost Jalen Waddle, and I think a big thing I've learned here is that Jalen Waddle means a lot to this Dolphins football team. Like they need Jalen Waddle healthy.
Yeah, and Parker ended up having some big catches in the second half, but just the steadying presence. I mean, he almost leads the league in receptions, I think. So you need a guy like that out there on the field.
Yeah, exactly. So again, kind of a fun game. Weirdly, like I was in first half, like, the Jets were kind of fun to watch, Kyle. Like I was actually enjoying the Jets. Like this is a new when they did that, hook and ladder play on 3rd and 15 to get the first down. A little bit fun to watch these New York Jets.
I'm interested to see Mike LaFleur like with talent.
Yeah,
like maybe when like some of this stuff starts to grow, I think this will be a pretty fun offense. But it's in the baby stages. He's still got a bunch of kids out there.
Yeah, and the flip side as well for the Dolphins is, you turn the ball over 3 times, still get out of there with a win, including one. Again, the Dolphins are just in kill the clock mode, up 7 points, and Tua throws a pick 6. Like, how do you do that? Like, how does that happen? But they still manage it. Dolphins Saints next week. I'm looking forward to that. Like, I'm not counting the Dolphins out. We'll get into it later, but I'm definitely not counting them out.
I mean, I'm not counting them out because there's basically 13 teams left, and they're one of them. Mathematically, they still got a chance. I just think that the teams in front of them are better. Doesn't mean necessarily they won't make the playoffs. I just think the teams in front of them are better right now.
Yeah, I think I agree. Let's move on. We don't have to take forever on that. Let's go to another. This was a great game. Packers Ravens here. So here's my thing, Kyle. Lots getting talked about. Oh, analytics. Why go for 2 there? First off, analytics don't tell you to go for 2 or not go for 2 there. So people just use analytics to mean being aggressive at this point. Secondly, with about 5 minutes left, the Ravens are down 14. They like to kick the field goal then, but then go for 2 later. Why not go for 2 the first time? And then if you don't get it, you at least have a shot to get back to overtime. That made 0 sense for me and John Harbaugh and the Ravens.
Isn't the argument to always go for 2 if you score down 14?
Yeah, basically. Yeah. I mean, it's like the very select situation where it wouldn't make sense, but like 99% of the time, yeah.
Yeah. I got to say, analytic Twitter and anti-analytic Twitter are basically the vax and anti-vax of sports Twitter.
Yeah, very much so.
It's so, like, it's just, it's basically 2 sides yelling at a brick wall, and neither side is ever going to listen to the other side. It's just, listen, I mean, I'm usually pretty pro going forward on 4th down, being aggressive, all this kind of stuff. And, Huntley actually played really well in this game. I think the tough thing is like, I think there's times where we look at analytics and 4th down situations, and it's like, okay, the numbers say go for it, but, we don't have our left tackle out there. Maybe we shouldn't go for it on 4th down without our starting offensive lineman, or if our backup quarterback's in. I think that should play into the numbers a little bit more. But Huntley played really well in this game, and he played really well in the fourth quarter, brought him back in this game, and they put him in a chance to win, and he went for it. I didn't love the play call because I don't love rolling out and taking out half the field,
Hmm.
but put him in a chance to win the game, and I actually think a better throw actually could have completed the pass.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, I get the logic on the other side of like, I mean, Mark Andrews had been borderline unguardable the entire game. Just
Mhm.
let him go out and get it. But I do think, like, especially like when Eric Stokes is now out to cover him, maybe you check to something else. Again, you run like just a quarterback power. There's a good chance that that works. I don't know. I think it's interesting. I think a lot of the arguments for whether or not they should have gone for it on fourth down just make zero sense to me. But yeah, at the end of the day, like, there's more stuff he could have done. There's also some controversy in this game of I don't even want to call it a questionable. It wasn't a pass interference. It gets called pass interference. That directly led to 4 points for the Green Bay as well. But again, that's football. Sometimes you get the breaks, sometimes you don't. I think the real takeaway to talk about here is we saw two really good quarterbacks in this. And I mean, Aaron Rodgers was
Mhm.
incredible in this. Some of the throws he made, sure, weak secondary, but he was, I mean, when a throw is perfect, the throw is perfect. His throws were perfect in this one. And also Tyler Huntley. How about that? One last thing before I throw it back to you. I'm drinking my oversized beer mug, as you can see, my comedically oversized beer mug, but I forgot to mention it. It's because of the Buccaneers loss. I'm not just an alcoholic.
I am an alcoholic because I'm double fisting shiners. So
Okay, there you go.
um, yeah. I mean, Huntley was very good in this game. I was impressed. Now I think people are, everyone's going around and saying, "Oh, well, 10 teams could have used Tyler Huntley this season." That's not
Mhm.
exactly how it works.
Right.
That's not exactly how it works. I think a lot of what Tyler Huntley does is because he's the perfect backup. I'm not saying he's the best backup quarterback in the NFL, but he's the best backup quarterback for the Baltimore Ravens system. They don't have to change anything when he goes in there. He's very athletic. He moves around really well. He kind of moves similarly to Lamar in some ways, obviously not as explosive, but he does a lot of the similar things. And so it's a
Mhm.
perfect system for him to jump into and do a lot of things pretty well. And he went up there and made the right throws. And, when in doubt, throw the ball to Mark Andrews.
Yeah, I mean, Mark Andrews was just unstoppable. I mean, they tried because this is the first. So here's what I find interesting about this game, and I would almost say there's something discouraging about this from the Packers' defensive perspective. The issue is just like you look at the rest of the NFC, and it's like, okay, maybe you're all right because the one thing I could think you could get a little bit discouraged by is this is the first time I've seen a team play man coverage against the Ravens and struggle to cover them. I haven't seen that, and maybe it's just because like Huntley was just throwing up jump balls to guys, and like that's what Lamar should do more frequently. Maybe that's an aspect of it. I don't know. Or maybe it's like this Packers secondary, there has been a little bit of luck involved in some of the stuff that's happened. Like, guys being Rasul Douglas being able to jump those routes. Like that didn't happen in this one. And again, they just don't have a guy to cover Mark Andrews. You could argue it's just Darnell Savage not being able to cover Mark Andrews, but still, like there was a couple, like Marquise Brown had a couple plays in here as well. Weird stat line by him, 10 catches for 43 yards. But that's the one thing I think you could argue is maybe discouraging, but I don't know how much of it is just because Tyler Huntley just threw up jump balls to Mark Andrews.
Um, yeah, I mean, it's possible. I,
Hmm.
I I don't know if I have that answer yet either. Um,
Hmm.
it was interesting to see, but yeah, I mean, obviously you look at it and it's like, uh, what is it? He threw the ball. I'm going through the numbers real quick. 40 times, 27 to two players. Um,
Hmm.
so yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, it did seem like a lot of it was that situation. Marquise Brown says one of the weirdest stat lines: 10 catches for 43 yards.
Yeah.
Like that doesn't seem possible.
Hmm.
But yeah, it's just it was a good performance for him, but obviously they want Lamar Jackson out there. That would really help.
Right. Yeah. I think so as well. Stephen B says Kenny Clark was out. One thing I've learned about Packers fans, they will let you know every injury they have ever had. Like I remember
Yeah,
one time, like I tweeted out something about like the Buccaneers, like missing their secondary, and it's like Packers have injuries under offensive line. Okay, no one's saying they don't. Like, yeah, Packers are
yeah.
injured. We get it.
I will say with Packers injuries, Jair Alexander would have helped in this game, but
Oh, for sure. Hmm.
once he's back, I really like this Packers team. I think it's the best in football right now. I think I said that on Wednesday,
Hmm.
and I still kind of feel that way, even though it's not a recency bias because they just took over the number one seed. I said it
Right.
on Wednesday, so
Yeah, Packers are. I mean, they got to be the favorites at this point to win it all. I think. I mean, they just given the pathway they would have and everything. A lot of people are saying Aaron Rodgers should be the favorite to win MVP now. I wouldn't hate that. I'm kind of at the point now where I throw my hands up. I don't know who should win MVP anymore. I've changed my opinion so many times. Uh, Tom Brady is still the biggest favorite, and pretty significantly so, though.
Yeah, and he's going to have some games to put up some numbers.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Like, I hear everyone Jonathan Taylor arguments, and we
Mm-hmm.
continue to say this like Jonathan Taylor, we both acknowledge Jonathan Taylor is an amazing football player and an
Mm-hmm.
amazing running back. Just we're saying based off MVP history, the history shows that unless you're having a transcendent generational season, it's probably going to a quarterback. So that's why, I'm kind of on the fence. Is Jonathan Taylor in the MVP conversation? Should he be in the conversation? We'll see. I think he's definitely been one of the best players this season. I just don't know if he's going to win MVP because, it typically goes to a quarterback. I definitely think Rodgers and Brady are probably my two right now.
Yeah, even Stafford you could throw in there if he puts up numbers down the stretch. I think he has a chance. What about Trent Williams MVP?
Trent Williams.
Yeah,
I
he
guess
got the
that's a better pick for you than Isaiah Wilson last year. So
probably. I think he'd have to work. Somehow he's like eighth in Pro Bowl voting. No clue what's going on there. But yeah, fun game with these two teams. Yeah, and by the way, at the end of the day, like who cares? It's MVP.
yeah,
All right,
fair
let's
enough.
move. I feel like it's kind of one of the weird things, but MVP used to be like a neat thing, and I feel like it's a new thing where MVP is now like it's like almost as important as like winning a Super Bowl.
I don't know. I guess it is for some people.
Okay, I guess you're not into this conversation about how important the importance of the MVP award.
I don't know. Like I haven't really thought about. I still think winning a Super Bowl is much more important. That's me personally, though.
Well, yeah, I think that's probably fair. Let's move on. Let's talk about. All right, let's just go there. While we're doing we did my
Yeah.
team. We got to get through it, Kyle. I think headline of this game, people are wondering, is Bill Belichick a coward? That's the people. Bill Belichick with a potentially cowardly punt down. What were they? They were down 13, or not punt, down 13. End up kicking a field goal at the 7-yard line in the fourth quarter. Kyle, first off, is Bill Belichick a coward?
Um, I don't know. Like, it's a weird situation because I think they did. I saw an ESPN article about this. I think it was Barnwell who did it that said like the most aggressive and least aggressive coaches in the NFL, and he ranked dead last over the last couple seasons. Um,
Interesting.
Yeah, and it's definitely been noticed this season that he doesn't go for it. Or my favorite thing they'll do is they'll have a third and short where Brandon Bolden gets the ball. Obviously, it doesn't convert, and then they don't go for it on fourth down. And I gotta say, anytime Brandon Bolden touches the ball, I die a little on the inside. Like I just don't get it. This guy is not an offensive talent. He's a special teamer that we keep putting in these positions, and I know it has to do with James White injuries, but there's got to be some other running back in the NFL that can catch a football on third down. I
Uh,
just go ahead.
Brandon Bolden, 5.1 yards per carry this game, or this season. I mean, he had
Yeah,
0.8 yards per carry in this game.
yeah. I don't care.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, this was definitely. I think he's been conservative definitely this season with Mac Jones.
Hmm.
And part of it I get, but at the same time, you we talk about I talk about this Patriots team as a team that can win the AFC. And
Hmm.
guess what? After this game, I still think this is a Patriots team that can win the AFC. I'm not jumping off the bandwagon all of a sudden because of one poor game and
Sure.
a really bad 3 quarters out of this team.
Hmm.
Um, but when you look at this team, I think the biggest thing you have to look at is can this team like win a shootout? Um,
Hmm.
and I think that's the biggest question we have left with this Patriots team because I think that they can win a lot games a lot of different ways. But if a team starts to kind of roll up on our defense, it seems like it's just going to be over. Because I don't know if this team's built to score 40 or 35. And it just seemed like this is another example of it where they're okay with kicking field goals, which is nice. But unfortunately, you're playing against good football teams, you don't win games with field goals. And you can look at all 5 of the Patriots' losses this season, and you know all of them are against teams 500 better. And yes, I'm using that because the Saints and Dolphins just hit 500. I can do that. It's half my
Uh-huh.
show. Um, you know, so In all 5 of their losses, it's teams against teams 500 or better, and in all 5 of the instances, it came down to either A, needing one score in the fourth quarter to tie the game or take the lead, or B, needing a stop at the end of the game to get the ball back to try and tie it up. They've been within one score in each of these fourth quarters and haven't gotten the stop they needed. And this was another game where I watched it, and it's just like they couldn't get the stop.
Yeah, it's interesting stuff. Jonathan Taylor ends up having the big stat line day of 170 yards. A lot of that was that big play at the end. Weird stat line. Carson Wentz they win a football game with him going 5 for 12 for 57 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. It's kind of like to beat the Patriots first, you must become the Patriots type of thing. The Patriots win a game it's not quite winning a game only throwing the ball 3 times, but still a very fascinating way for a team to win a football game in a dome in 2021.
Yeah. Yeah, it really was. Yeah, I mean, look, their game plan worked. I mean, they didn't really do a whole lot for a lot of the game outside of the first drive, but or the second drive, sorry, where Taylor basically ran like crazy until the last play where that pitch pass resulted in the touchdown. But they did enough to win this game because the defense played really well for the Colts. They covered really well in this game. And, Mac struggled until the fourth quarter of the game. Mac Jones wasn't very good. And then the fourth quarter, he kind of got things going and brought this within, a chance to win the game. But they didn't get it done. So,
yeah. All right. Any final thoughts on this one, or you want to just move on?
Trying to think. I think we just about covered it. Yeah, I mean, I'm not overly concerned about this game with the Patriots. I still thought they played well in the fourth quarter, and they put themselves in a chance to win the game. They just had to get that final stop, go and win it. The season is next week. You go and beat Buffalo next week. You basically clinch the division. And then you can, coast the last 2 weeks, and you can still win the division with the loss. But let's get it done and win the division next week.
Yeah. Although the flip side is now do not have the inside path for the 1 seed, the Kansas City Chiefs do. So interested to see how that plays out. Let's go right there. Let's go with the wild Thursday night game, Chiefs Chargers. Kyle, this is a very fun game.
It was a very fun game. And basically everything we wanted out of this game we got. Herbert and Mahomes were pretty fun. We saw a goofy Patrick Mahomes throw. It had a little bit of everything for us.
Yeah. Also, we have a super chat. Thank you, Emery, for that. Yeah, it was a wild game. We saw again. This was we talked about anti-analytics Twitter versus analytics Twitter. This was like Thanksgiving. If this is anti-vax, this is Thanksgiving with your family conversations going on. Although I guess maybe through Zoom if it's vax versus anti-vax. This was absolutely just a very hilarious situation of they keep getting these 4th down and short situations, so they keep going for it. Converted 2 for 5. I like it. We don't have to spend forever on it. Both quarterbacks played well in this one. Also, if you want to say your thoughts on the conversions, you can go for it.
I mean, Brandon Staley has been this the entire season. We've known this, and I like the aggressiveness. But this is another one where it's like, okay, if Rashawn Slater's not playing, do you have to look at this a little bit differently? I don't know the exact answer to this. I don't think there is a perfect answer. But if you're, borderline all-pro rookie left tackles out, do you have to look at the numbers differently and skew them a little bit differently? He obviously did in this one. He played it aggressive. I'm okay with it. He's done it all season. It just didn't work in the Chargers' favor.
Yeah, I think you could argue the one at the end of the half just because you don't get the benefit of the field position thing. Because typically part of why you go for it is also if you don't get it, opposing teams, at now their own like 1 yard line or whatever. So that one's you could argue, but I think the flip side is, I tweeted this out and I believe it, is if you want to criticize Brandon Staley for going for it here, I think you also have to criticize the Eagles for going for it in Super Bowl 52. Because I don't think you can choose one or the other. Because either you like these aggressive calls or you don't like these aggressive calls. And I guess where I get a little bit frustrated is, I see a lot of people who will defend aggressiveness when it doesn't work. I don't see a lot of people who will say, you know what, you were aggressive and it worked out, but I think that was the wrong call and you got away with one.
Yeah, I think that's probably fair. But yeah, I mean, so back to the game. Like you said, the quarterbacks were awesome with this one. And like I said, both of these guys had throws that it's just like, okay, these are probably the only two people in the world who can make these throws. Um,
Mhm.
you know,
Yeah.
Herbert was really good in this game, and then Mahomes was terrific, and then his two guys, Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelsey. I thought this was their best performance of the season from those two, who you know have gotten basically a ton of attention this year, given the roster makeup, and had some up and downs. I thought throughout the year, I thought they really showed out in this game and were really impressive.
Yeah, hot take, the Chiefs are good at football. This is I
Yeah.
mean, this felt like because again, early on, Mahomes was kind of struggling a little bit, and it was kind of like we're getting another one of these Mahomes games. He has that pass where I think he just never got a grip on the ball. I think they even showed that he didn't have the laces, and so it just kind of slipped out of his hand. But it looked very funny when he just spikes the ball when it could have had a wide open touchdown. But he was able to get the ball down the field, and this was definitely a big Travis Kelsey game. I mean, Tyreek Hill had 148 yards, and no one was even talking about him because of how good Travis Kelsey was in this one, including the game winner.
Yeah, it looked like his footwork actually slipped a little out on that throw too. It was weird to look at because he was, way short on an easy touchdown.
Yeah. Hmm.
But yeah, I mean, all of it was good for the Chiefs. I thought the defense even played well at times. I like watching these two teams. I think that's the biggest takeaway. And that shouldn't really be a hot take. I mean, obviously with these two quarterbacks, but I wouldn't mind seeing these two play again in the playoffs.
Yeah. Could this be an AFC championship game, perhaps?
Yeah, sure. I mean,
Hmm.
I'm at the point now where if you gave me if you pick two teams out of a hat for the AFC, besides like the bottom three teams,
Hmm.
I'd be like, yeah, sure, they can make the AFC championship game.
Yeah, sure. Brown Steelers. Yeah, sure. It could happen.
Yeah, I mean, I'm never gonna say no to the Steelers at this point. So yeah, I mean, uh, I think there's a lot of teams that I look at and say, hey, they could still make the final two of this conference.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's go there then. Why don't we just transition? What the hell is going on with the Steelers? How do they keep pulling off of these victories?
It's got to be mind games at this point because
Hmm.
it's just like they just get whatever they need to do in the end of these games. Like all of a sudden, like the Titans forgot how to like handle the football,
Yeah.
and it's just they're still not moving the ball, but it's like, oh, field goal. So they just keep hitting these, and all of a sudden it's like, oh wait, they're up 19-13 now. This was a really weird game. This was a really weird performance from both teams, and not really great from the Tennessee to drop this game. But I mean, they're still going to be fine overall. But don't want to lose games like this.
Yeah, I mean, there was one of the most insane fumbles I've ever seen. I think it was Racy McMath who had it. It could be wrong. Could have been someone else who had like the where it catches it and it's like getting tackled and then like has one of those weird plays where like it looks like you get tackled, but the knee doesn't actually touch. And then in doing that, also loses the football. I've never seen that before. Usually it's like they get up and run
Yeah.
and get more yards. So that was just absurd the way that happened. Yeah, I don't know because again, so no skill players, and we keep talking about football is hard to win when you don't have receivers. This is how the Titans lost to the Jets. It's how to lose to another team in the team they should have beaten in the Steelers. Still doesn't explain how like apparently the ball is just made out of like butter when they're on offense. They just can't keep it in their hands.
Yeah. Losing Julio Jones again. That just seems like it might
Mhm.
be a lost cause at this point. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It just seems it was a really uncharacteristic thing to see. They just kept putting the football on the ground. Steelers took advantage. I mean, they didn't look awesome in this game, but you know, all that matters is the win at some point, right? And they keep doing it. I mean, I don't know what to think about this team. Like, I think it
Ye-
stinks, but at the same
mhm.
time, if they're gonna go with 8, 9, 7-1, who are we to say that they can't, win a couple games in the playoffs at this rate?
I mean, at this point, yeah. I mean, they could win the Super Bowl for all we know. I mean, it's. I still just have to say, like, okay, it's still not going to happen very frequently that you get four relatively fluky interceptions to go your way. It's not going to happen too frequently that you get nearly doubled up in time of possession. 39 minutes, the Titans had the ball, 20 minutes, the Steelers did 20.52. Uh, and it's like that kind of stuff and getting this win, going 2-11 and getting a win on third downs. Like, I don't know. I feel like this makes zero sense. But this is what happened. Also, overlap 618, DEF CON level 5. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the super chat for the ones listening in the audio. Overlap 618, the great Overlap 618 says, DEFCON level 5, ladies and gentlemen. We need to band together and focus if we are going to get Jackson in the bunny suit after this loss. Love Overlap. I believe it's a penguin suit. I've never agreed to any bunny suit.
Well, I guess that's what you get for losing now is the bunny suit. I don't know what's happening anymore. The Steelers keep winning football games now the suits are changing. I don't know what's happening anymore. I've lost all sense of reality.
Yeah. Just an absolutely wild game. I don't know what else to say too much about it other than just the Steelers they're just that team that somehow they're going to get to 8 wins right now. They're going to find a way. They play the Chiefs, the Browns, and the Ravens. They're going to win one of those games and still get the 500 record that Mike Tomlin always seems to find a way to get.
Somehow they're probably going to win all 3 or something stupid like that. I mean, I don't know.
Well, no, the way the Steelers work is now they have to like just get completely crushed, right? Like they have to have these lows, and so you count them out, and then they randomly win a game.
Yeah. So let's go back. I keep circling back to this. Let's go back to it. So last 5 weeks for Tennessee, 13 points against the Texans and a loss, 13 points against the Patriots and a loss. Bye week, 20 points against the Jaguars and a win, and then 13 points against the Steelers and a loss. Where are we at with this team?
They need Derrick Henry. That's where I'm at with this team.
Yeah. I think I agree. I think I might be ready to kind of, I think they make the playoffs just because of where they're at. I mean, 9 wins feels pretty good. They're probably going to get one more, but I think I'm kind of ready to stick a fork in them for playoff hopes, unless Derrick Henry does come back and look close to 100%.
I mean, listen, like if they found a way to win this game, and if they they were almost there, right? They were inches short of getting that first down, maybe of a generous spot, but maybe a yard or 2 short of getting a first down. If they get that first down, they might win this football game because all they needed was a touchdown, and now they're in the front. They're for front runners for winning the AFC in general and getting the bye week. They would have had to play San Francisco, Miami, and Houston. It's not out of the question that they could win all 3 of those. There still is a very real chance this team could end up with that number 1 seed. It's not out of the question whatsoever. So I get your point, but I just think when you lose your superstar, all-world running back and all of your receivers, your offense isn't going to look as good.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of my point is I think it's overall in a vacuum, I think it's a good team, but I don't know what his future is for this season without those guys. Cause I don't know, even if those guys come back, I don't know what their health is going to be for the season.
They're a wild card.
Run. Yeah. So
they're a complete wild card.
Yeah. So I think in a vacuum, they're a good team, but at the same time, it's going to be tough to project what this team is.
Yeah, very fascinating. Let's move on. Let's go Bengals Broncos here. This was a game. I mean, it was a close game. I think this game was perfectly encapsulated with the play where Drew Lock fumbles the football. I forget who it was for Cincinnati who picked it up. He runs down the field and ends up fumbling it again, allowing Denver to get the ball. And that actually ended up being a big play because Denver could have maybe scored a touchdown that could take the lead. It's an interesting game. I think we kind of expected the Cincinnati Bengals offense to maybe have some trouble against this Broncos defense, but didn't really expect the Bengals defense to play as well as they did. And obviously the Bridgewater injury didn't help, but also they weren't doing much with him in there either. Yeah,
it was just an anemic offense, really. Give credit to the Bengals defense. I thought they did do a good job, but it didn't. The offense certainly didn't help itself for Denver. It's hard to feel threatened by this team, right? Especially with these two. I mean, we got the whole Drew Lock experience in basically a quarter. And I don't know. It's just hard to feel threatened by this team. There's just not a lot of explosiveness to it. I think they have decent players.
Tim Patrick.
I do like Tim Patrick. Big catch for the touchdown.
Yeah.
But, I just look at these guys and it's just they really need a game breaker or they need to get a quarterback. And not having that huge game breaker and not having the quarterback hurts the team, I think, overall. And probably why they're going to miss the playoffs this year. At least, it's going to be close.
Yeah, Elijah says, can we talk about Javonte Williams, though? This team is a good quarterback away from contending, in my opinion. Yeah, I mean, Javonte Williams had an incredible play where it looked like he was going to be
Mhm.
down at his own 1 yard line, gets out of it, and somehow gains yards with it. So that was very good. But yeah, I mean, I think I agree. Like what we've seen about Denver is kind of what we expected going into this season. They're a really good roster who, and maybe their defense hasn't quite lived up to the hype, but they're still a very good roster. But yeah, they need if they're going to be a real contender, they do need a quarterback, which you could say that about a lot of teams. But I don't know if Teddy Bridgewater or Drew Lock is the answer. Maybe they can get Aaron Rodgers.
Maybe.
Hmm.
Although Aaron Rodgers was going on about how happy he was after that game, so maybe
Hmm.
he's changing his mind. Um,
Sure.
but yeah, so I mean, I thought it was a good performance for the Broncos. They put themselves in a position to win this one, and this defense is obviously as advertised. But yeah, I
Mhm.
mean, without the quarterback, it's going to be a problem. And obviously, we hope Teddy's okay. And then the Bengals side, I mean, this Bengals team's kind of confusing too, aren't they? They're kind of up
Yeah.
and down too. And this is 3 weeks in a row where, you watch this offense on the right week, they look amazing. And then it's like 3 weeks in a row now where this offense has kind of just been all right at best.
Yeah. Hey, Bengals leading the AFC North. You got that going for you. Yeah. I mean, to me, the reason why this offense struggled was you had Jamar Chase who was double teamed, and like that's what you got to do. And Tyler Boyd's going to get some stuff, and he does a lot. Tyler Boyd and T Higgins, really T Higgins has been typically the guy, but this week it was Tyler Boyd. The fact that they have three good options, that's still going to allow for stuff to happen. But you don't let Jamar Chase beat you over the top, and that's what's going to make things easier. And that's what Denver did is they made sure they weren't getting beat over the top, and they stopped the run well. And I think what we've also learned is even though the Bengals don't necessarily run block that well. They're going to keep running the football. It doesn't matter how well they're doing. They're going to stay with it. So, had a couple of nice runs here and there, but for the most part, not too great. Joe Mixon, just 3.4 yards on 11 carries. So that's the way to beat them is just get them to run the football as much as possible, and they'll continue to do it.
Yeah, a couple scrambles from Burrow, but I mean, even besides that, it's 22 pass attempts to 21 running back attempts. So
Yeah.
just about even. And yeah, I mean, it is interesting to watch this team. Like, it's going to be like who would have thought this? But do you see this team winning this division?
I'm sorry, my headphones cut out. What was that again?
Do you see this team winning this division?
The Bengals?
Yes.
Well, it's interesting because they play. I mean, the reality is again, it's a tough schedule. Ravens, Chiefs, and Browns. I think it could come down to that Week 18 game, Bengals Browns. I think that could be the decider.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very possible. Um, I mean,
It's
all these
legitimately
teams kind of
possible the
have
Browns could
yeah.
win.
I
The
mean,
Browns could totally win it.
yeah, it's just all these teams have tough schedules,
Yeah.
After playing the Raiders, the Browns have at Packers, at Steelers, home Bengals. You
Hmm.
know, they all kind of play each other. So,
Yeah.
it's going to be interesting. Like, you know, we might see a 9-8 division winner there.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not out of the question by any means. All right. Also, the one thing I heard as well is Teddy Bridgewater, tough injury. I don't know how that's going, but hopefully he's all right. Let's move on. Let's go to the surprise of the week. I think Cardinals Lions. The Fighting Dan Campbell's never quit. Kyle, we got to see some Colt McCoy action in this. Many are saying Colt McCoy is the best quarterback in football. That's what I'm hearing. Kyle, what were your thoughts on this game?
Um, Man, did the Arizona Cardinals just decide that they weren't going to play this week?
Hmm.
Were they just going to take the week? I mean, some guy named Craig Reynolds had 112 yards in this game.
Oh,
I mean,
the legend Craig Reynolds, the guy who we were all very excited to see play in this one. I'm sure all the 46 jerseys that are in the stands were very pumped up.
yeah, I don't know. If you lose to a guy named Craig at running back, I mean, it's a bad week for you. That's what I got to say. So obviously, Craig here has a really good game. The the Dolphins, the Lions just kind of control the clock in this one and defend really well. I thought the coverage was really good in this game for long stretches, and they made some plays. The other guy too, I don't know a lot of this Lions team. 24. that corner. Aqib Talib was raving about him. He came up with a couple big plays in this one too. Just really good stuff from some of the Lions players. They really stepped up and made some plays. And obviously, Arizona didn't capitalize on a lot of stuff too.
Yeah, I like how you tried to avoid saying the name Amani or Warrior. I think maybe that's 24. Good move. Just going with the number there, Kyle.
Hey, they call me a pro for a reason.
So here's what happened in the game is what I thought. I made a video kind of breaking this down. Several things. Like this team could probably use DeAndre Hopkins. Like I know they've been able to win games without him, so we kind of think like, oh no, that's not an excuse. Like they missed him in this one. Like the jump balls to AJ Green just don't hit the same as the jump balls to DeAndre Hopkins. They don't. And I think that was an aspect. There was just some weird stuff. Like Kyler just missed some open guys. Like I don't mean like missed throws. I mean like there was just guys who were open that I could see on the broadcast that like, his progression should have taken him there, and he just like threw it to him, much less open guy, which happens, but that's unfortunate as well. And then the Lions made some good plays on top of this. So that's kind of what the main issue was for the Cardinals. It was kind of an odd game, but I'm not too concerned with the Cardinals offense. Like it had a bad day. I think it'll be all right, especially if DeAndre Hopkins is back for the postseason. But do we need to start being worried about this Cardinals defense? Because it's now starting to become less of a bad day and more of a trend with the defense not looking too sharp in back-to-back weeks against the Rams and now against the Lions.
We'll see if it corrects itself a little bit. Obviously, the big thing, I mean, it could use a guy like J.J. Watt, basically. That's a big thing. But yeah, I mean, I think the thing is that when we looked at this team, and I think the surprise is how good they covered to start of the year. I mean, it was a really good coverage unit to start this season. It hasn't really been the case the last 2 weeks. Goff had a really good game in this one. I mean, the coverage unit hasn't been the same that it was early in the season. I think that's been a big factor. And then, like you said, on the other side, not having Hopkins there is kind of that outlet.
Yeah, and also, I mean, sometimes you go up against greatness. I mean, Craig Reynolds, like what I almost called him Craig Robinson. Craig Reynolds. Like, what are you gonna do?
Apparently, Detroit fan man said some guy Craig Reynolds is nicknamed Netflix.
Huh. Okay. Well, why is he Netflix, do you think?
He follows up with that's what he was doing when his agent told him he was heading to Detroit.
Well, that's not like a great story, is it? Like I feel like that's like what most people probably are doing.
My nickname would have been Depression at that point.
Yeah. There you go. All right. Yeah. So speaking of depression, let's talk about the Texans Jaguars, I think. Let's go there. Kyle, so one thing worth noting is like Davis Mills is like thoroughly outplaying most of this rookie class.
Yeah.
Like I don't know what to make of that. I don't know what we do with that information, but that is something that we've seen.
I'm sure having Brandon Cooks helps. And he led the team in targets by a lot again this week. But yeah, I mean he's throwing some good balls. You give him credit where credit's due. He's doing some good stuff this season. It hasn't all been perfect, but he's also a rookie, and he outplayed Trevor Lawrence in this game.
Yeah, I mean, I was just looking at because like we always talk about, we want to see flashes from a rookie. We don't expect like consistent like greatness or anything. So far, quarterbacks who have a passer rating of over 100 in a game, currently Lawrence, Wilson, and Fields don't have any. Trey Lance technically has 2, although one of them was like he threw like 2 passes in it, so that isn't really 1, I would say, from Trey Lance. Mac Jones has 6, and Davis Mills with 3. So Davis Mills like doing some good stuff.
Yeah, no, I mean I definitely give him credit. I think he's done some really good stuff this year. I thought he was pretty good in this game. So I give him a ton of credit, and I don't really know what else to think about it. I think he's just proved that he's pretty good. I don't know what his ceiling is.
Right.
But he at least proves he can come into an NFL game and be competent.
Yeah, I mean, what Davis Mills has done is he's given himself a 10-year career in the NFL with this performance with the Texans. And like you could say it's like, okay, well, they have Brandon Cooks. That does help. not to have a ton else around that. It's not like this is like you can't really say. I mean, it is kind of funny that for Trevor Lawrence, he's legitimately sitting on the sideline saying, "I wish I got drafted by the Texans." Like that seems like a really tough situation to be in if you're Trevor Lawrence. But it's exactly right. Of like Davis Mills has probably reached his ceiling already, whereas like obviously if Lawrence and Wilson can get in Fields can get these sort of underneath stuff down and get the simpler stuff down, their ceilings are just way bigger.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see because Mills was also, a guy I talked about coming into the draft as kind of a project guy because, his college career was basically derailed from year one. And he didn't get a ton of like clean reps with the whole situation, with Stanford's program going through some weird years too, with injuries, with COVID season, all this kind of stuff. And I was kind of interested in seeing him as like a project quarterback that teams are going to develop. But he's shown and proved pretty competent. But I mean, the stuff I'm seeing, I think it's pretty, he's definitely excelled at doing some pretty good stuff, reading defenses, making the right throws. It's just going to be interesting to see what his next level can be, and if there is a next level to Davis Mills.
Yeah, it's interesting stuff. I think also for Urban Meyer, maybe had a point calling all his coaching staff losers.
I don't know. Like this isn't a very.
I mean, he hired them, so he's the ultimate loser. But
yeah, he is. But I mean, this is this isn't a very good football team. We knew this. Nothing really changed after watching this team again. I don't know. Do you have any? The fan thing was pretty funny. I had that.
Yeah, that was fun. I like your tweet about the thing that counts as offside. Could you? I mean, there have been instances of like a fan. I remember like the Patriots like won a football game back in like the 40s or whatever. Way long ago when like a fan like, rushed on the field and just knocked the pass away, and the refs were like, "Yeah, it happens."
That would have been funny if he actually had an impact on the play.
Right? Yeah. What do you do about that? Like, what if like nothing too? Like, what if I don't know. What if he has an impact on the play, but like not a huge impact? Like, how do you measure it?
I don't know. Like he just goes in and blocks a defensive player.
Sure. Or like he's just on the field and like it's like maybe like distracts someone a little bit.
Yeah. I don't. How did he get that far before anybody like reacted?
I don't know. That's a good question. I don't know. I don't know how that happens. Also, I was looking up to see if any team had back-to-back first overall picks before, because the Jaguars are currently in the lead for the first overall pick once again. I mean, first overall, not first round, obviously. It's happened a couple of times. The most recent time it was the Cleveland Browns. The recent time before that was also the Cleveland Browns. So Browns have had some tough success. The Buccaneers did it in 86 and 87, although asterisks on it because Bo Jackson did not end up playing for the Buccaneers, so it kind of checks out that happened. So yeah, also most recent time after that, also the Buccaneers. So Bucs and Browns really holding up their end of the bargain there.
Yeah, wasn't the last one Hugh Jackson's 1-31 run?
Yep, the classic. And now the Jaguars, not quite that bad, but they're doing their best.
Yeah. Did we talk about the coach firing on Wednesday?
I don't think so. Also, just because I was looking through it, what has only happened one other time. It was the Chicago Cardinals in 1939 and 1940. For those of you curious, I don't think so. Yeah, so I'm firmly in the camp of I'm way more optimistic about the Jaguars now that they don't have Urban Meyer than when they had Urban Meyer.
I think so. It was terrible. I mean, it was a terrible tenure. Obviously, you try to give the guy the benefit of the doubt, but I mean, anyone who watched college football doesn't want to give Urban Meyer the benefit of the doubt. And I'm pretty interested in this coaching search. I think this is going to be huge on Trevor Lawrence's career, who they hire this next season. And I think they kind of need to hit a home run on this and get the right guy.
Yeah, I think so as well. Get a good guy, get a good head coach, and also get some wide receivers as well. Is what what you really need to do. But yeah, I mean, also like, hey, maybe don't go around kicking people, Urban Meyer. Like, I didn't think that we had to write that rule down for you. I think you figured you'd figure that one out on your own.
Yeah, I mean, he's been a physical guy. I mean, we saw the bar video, so we'll see. Maybe he just didn't understand. Yeah. So are you a little concerned yet losing your coordinator here?
Which one? Because one of them, yes. One of them, not so much.
Well, one of them's the former quarterback of the Jaguars.
I think take Leftwich. That's fine.
Yeah.
I think Leftwich is. Don't get me wrong. I like what he's done. I think he is a cog in the machine. I think Todd Bowles is the
Yeah.
defensive machine.
That's what I was gonna say. So
Mhm.
I think Leftwich has a good chance to be the hire, but I think Todd Bowles is the right hire.
I'd
But
interview them both. Why not?
yeah, like
Mhm.
I mean, I just think Todd Bowles is a good coach,
Yeah.
and you can get an offensive coordinator. There's
Yeah.
plenty
Exactly.
of nerds who like to look at analytic books and make fourth down calls off of it. So you
Mhm.
can get an offensive coordinator.
Yeah. What about me? Make me the head coach.
Huh?
If they called
Can
you
I
and
be an
said,
assistant?
"Sure, how about this, Kyle? Here's a question: Bill Belichick retires. It's 10 years from now, after 6 more Super Bowls. Bill Belichick retires. Robert Kraft calls you up and says, "Oh, listen, I'm thinking about hiring your podcast co-host as the new GM of the New England Patriots. Do you let me do this, or do you say, I think maybe go with someone a little bit more experienced?"
I'd give a good endorsement. Live your own Ted Lasso, man. Go for it.
Sorry, my headphones cut out. Unfortunately, I don't know what's going on.
I, s- I said
Let
yes.
me
I'd
try to
give you
see.
a good endorsement. Go for it, man.
I don't hear anything. I'm going to
Yes.
try to figure out what's going on with my headphones.
Oh, well, we lost
I'll
Jackson in
disconnect
his
them and try them again.
headphones. Um, are you back?
Okay, I'm back. Sorry. What was that?
I said yes. I'd give you a good endorsement.
Okay. It'd be funny if like you didn't and then just like told me that afterwards. We'll see. But yeah, what were we talking about again? Football, I think maybe.
Yeah, something about football.
Okay.
The Texans Jaguars did play. I guess that's football.
Yeah, I don't know if we talked much about the game. I don't know. Like again, we're just gonna see this for the end of the season with Lawrence. Like he's not gonna look great because he doesn't have anyone to throw to. Like it is what it is.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
All right. Well, let's move on. Let's go to. We got 3 games left on the schedule. I guess let's go. Giants, Cowboys. Here's another MVP candidate, Kyle. Your guy, Micah Parsons. Could he be the MVP frontrunner?
No. He's probably going to get a lot of votes for Defensive Player of the Year. Honestly, he is because
Yeah.
people keep talking about it.
hmm
So, I mean, I don't know if he'll win it, but he's going to be in the conversation. And this Dallas team is just getting takeaways for fun at this point. I mean, they're doing a really good job on that side of the ball. Another week where this offense kind of looked kind of basic, though.
Yeah, another kind of weird game for certainly. You had Dak Prescott who had to fumble. That was all right. Outside of that, you're right. Nothing. It hasn't been as special as we expect it to be. And again, I don't know exactly what it is because it's not like they're banged up too much. Like Lamb, Gallup, and Cooper are all there. So I mean, everyone has some injuries, but for the most part, they're there. It's kind of an odd thing, and I felt like the Giants' defense didn't even play that well. Like I thought there was wide open guys pretty consistently. So I think I agree with that. But the nice thing is you were going up against a team that decided, you know what, let's let Jake Fromm finish this game.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I agree. And From actually, it wasn't as bad as Mike Lennon, so he had that going for him.
Sure.
So, even if it was just for one drive, basically. So, you know,
hmm
they, the Giants actually ran the ball pretty decently. Devontae Booker had a couple big runs, but yeah, I mean, this game was all Dallas. The Giants aren't good, man. They're just not. Like, there's a talent deficit on this team. It's as simple as that. I watch this team and think they stink. So, yeah.
Yeah. I think I mean, I don't disagree. Like, yeah, the Giants are not a very good football team. Are the Cowboys maybe getting slept on a little bit? Just in terms of how like their defense is playing very well right now, and I think that their offense can be better.
Maybe a little bit, but I still feel like I feel more comfortable with Tampa, Arizona, and Green Bay over them. And I
I think
think,
you could argue me out of Arizona at this point,
yeah.
maybe.
So just the top two, then maybe Dallas, Arizona, Los Angeles.
I think so. Yeah.
Is San Francisco in that tier?
No.
No. Okay.
Mm.
So it's still your five, but you have two at the top, three at the bottom, three a little lower. So yeah, I mean, I think they're capable. Like If you ask me, can they win 3 rounds in the NFC? I'd say sure they could. They're just not my first, second, or third pick at this point, and maybe not my fourth. So,
Yeah.
um,
I think that's fair. Also, there's a chat here. Steeler Nation said that Brady said it's going to be his last year. I don't see that anywhere though. So some people are getting confused in the chat. I've looked it up. I don't see that. If you know linked, if you have a source, link it. But I don't see it anywhere.
yeah,
Um,
that doesn't look real.
yeah. All right. So let's move on. Let's talk about this game, which had playoff implications, and for a second looked like it was going to be close in the Falcons, Niners, 49ers end up running away with this. I think you're higher on the 49ers than I am.
Yeah, I mean, I think this team's pretty good.
Hmm.
Um, like they're obviously very, very outside shot, but this is
Hmm.
another team that I look at and say, I mean, I don't think it's out of the question that this team could win 3 playoff games. Obviously, they're going to be underdogs in a lot of those games, but you know, I think they could beat Dallas or Los Angeles or Arizona on any given week, and they proved again that they're pretty good in this one. Now, it helps when they, you know, overturn a Cordarrelle Patterson touchdown, which looked like a touchdown even on the reviews. Um,
Hmm.
but they still look pretty good in this game and played well.
Yeah, I mean they had 7.1 yards per play to the Falcons 4.7 yards per play, so that was a big difference. I mean they ran the ball well. This is kind of that classic Kyle Shanahan thing. I'm like, okay, like, Jeff Wilson is going off in this game, so they're getting that going. George Kittle, of course, means so much to this team. He has another 93 yards in this. Maybe George Kittle deserves MVP. This was I mean, very impressive performance by the 49ers offense that continues to roll, even with again, like solid quarterback play from Garoppolo. He's not spectacular, but he's tier 3 quarterback, right? That's kind of what we've always viewed him as, like that tier 3 solid baseline quarterback. Flip side, like I think this disappointing for the Falcons, but maybe this is also just kind of who the Falcons are.
Yeah, they're just not quite on this level for me. And it always seemed like kind of a reach to put this team in the playoffs, but I think now that we've seen it against plenty of playoff caliber teams, we know what this team is. Um, so yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think San Francisco's pretty good. I know you're probably a little lower than them, like you said, but I think offensively, obviously, the big thing is Kittle and Samuel have to stay on the field. But when Kittle and Samuel are on the field, they're really tough to defend. And then the defense obviously is well regarded as one of the better ones in football. So I think they just do a bunch of really good stuff.
Yeah, I guess I just, and listen, I know that they went to a Super Bowl this way, so it does have a high ceiling, and they nearly won that Super Bowl. But I just wonder how high the ceiling is of a team that's built this way. Of it's just not the way I would construct a football team. Of sort of getting all the pieces and then getting a quarterback who's good enough. I think part of why they went out and got Trey Lance was because they wanted to have a quarterback who could do more than this, and then Garoppolo's kind of proven he's the best guy for now at least. But part of me does still wonder, and this is why they lost the Super Bowl, is when Garoppolo had to actually put the team on his back, he wasn't able to. And so that's why I have a little bit of concerns about the ceiling of this team. But I do acknowledge that, again, they're a very good team, and they could easily beat anyone in the NFC. Like, there's no one in the NFC where I'm like, I don't know if they can pull that one off. Like, they could beat anybody, or even
Yeah.
in the AFC too.
And another thing is, too, is I think Garoppolo's playing pretty well this year.
Sure.
I've liked what I've seen out of him the last few weeks. I think he's doing some good stuff. He's got 18 touchdowns, eight picks, over 3,000 yards. I think he's doing good stuff. I think they have. I mean, I just look at this team and it's like I look at every player on the roster and it's like, I kind of like that guy, um, or
Hmm.
I really like that guy in terms of some of their guys. But I think that they just have a really good team and it's a really good roster. Like you said, I think it's going to be a tough. They're a tough beat for anyone. I think one of the things we talked about is we talk about this 1 seed battle and the 1 seed battle for the NFC.
Hmm.
I wouldn't be too excited if I'm the losing end and get that 3 seed and have to face this team.
Yeah, I mean, I'd rather get the 3 seed than the 4 seed. I would say that. Like, I think there is a tier gap in between San Francisco and I believe it'd be would it be the Rams? I believe who would currently be that
They're the
like
5 seed.
5 seed. What's that? Yeah, Rams.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they're the 5.
yeah. So, right. I think I would much rather be the. I think I'd rather. I think there's a big tier gap there. I do because again, we talk about the 49ers. Okay, well, let's say now you're going up against Green Bay. Like, sure, you do all these nice things well. Well, Green Bay does those nice things well, but they also have Devontae Adams and Aaron Rodgers who can just dominate no matter what. So it's like you're not. It's at a certain point being good at everything. You have to be great at certain things, and I just don't know. I mean, they're really good defensively. Like they do get stuff open. Kyle Shanahan's very good. I'm not trying to say that they're a bad team, but I think they're a definitive sixth best team in the NFC, in my opinion.
They're great at one thing, pass catchers. I think they're legitimately great at that, especially the way Kittle's played the last couple weeks. Samuel's been good, and I think Ayuk's really stepped up as a third guy.
I just am able to agree to disagree. I would probably say what they're great at is offensive play calling, which maybe kind of we're blurring the lines a little bit because like, are they great? Are they on the same tier as Dallas? And are they on the same tier as like a healthy Tampa Bay? I don't think so. I think that they're good pass catching. I don't know if I would call them great.
They're close. Yeah, I mean, I think they're pretty close though. Yeah, I mean, I rate Samuel and Kittle pretty highly. I
guess so. I don't know. I mean, I think I would rather have. I mean, and again, we can agree to disagree, but I think that they're very good. Is what I would say. But I think that there's a definitive difference. But we'll just have to agree to disagree, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I do think those two teams are really good. But let's put it this way. Let me. I think Samuel and Kittle would be the best two pass catching options on Dallas right now. Is that hot takey?
I think that's very hot takey. I think maybe my hot take is I think Dallas has three players I would trust more. Their top three receivers over Kittle or over Samuel. Like I get Kittle as a tight end, but like he still is a tight end. I mean, he still is a tight end. Like that still does factor in. Kittle, you can talk me into being 4, depending on your offense. But I don't think Samuel is better than. I'd take Michael Gallup over Samuel. I'd take CeeDee Lamb over Samuel, and I'd take Amari Cooper over Samuel in terms of pass catching.
Interesting. Okay.
But again, Samuel does so much other stuff well, like the running game and, even like setting up routes and stuff like that. So who's the better player? You can be the judge of that. But in terms of just winning a route, if it's 3rd and 7, who do I want? Give me the 3 Dallas guys or maybe Kittle.
That's fair. Okay. Yeah, we can move on from this one. I think we covered San Francisco. It'll be interesting to watch them.
Yeah. All right. Final game here. Panthers, Bills here. You just started laughing. What were your thoughts on this?
I mean, it was just a bit of a mess for the Panthers at points, man. It felt like at points this game was kind of there for the taking, and then Buffalo was just like, all right, I guess we'll win it now. Panthers just couldn't consistently get things going. Cam, obviously, the Cam numbers always look pretty good. And anyone who has Cam Newton on fantasy is usually pretty pleased because of the rushing stuff. But at the same time, like, there's just so many throws he makes that it's like, you got to give your guy a chance to compete for the ball. And he just doesn't have the time. And I just thought I saw too many of those throws again today.
Yeah, I mean, it was tough. The offense was not able to get much going. I mean, the reality is, like, there is kind of a reason why Cam Newton was, a free agent for most of this season, or at least a good chunk of the season. And we were all excited when Cam Newton came back. But I think the thought was when Cam Newton comes back, it's like, okay, well, maybe you don't have to rely on your offense. Like the offense has a clear ceiling. In hindsight, maybe going all in on Sam Darnold wasn't the best decision.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and I actually think, despite giving up 31 points, this defense played pretty well. I think, Buffalo eventually just kind of imposed its will, but still, I mean, they had under 5 yards per play, but it's easier when the other team has under 4 yards per play. So, I mean, there's only so much I think the defense could do. I think it eventually broke towards the end. But yeah, I mean, not having a quarterback hurts, and it's really hurting them this season.
Yeah. For the Bills, big week coming up against the Patriots because you win this one. Bills play the Falcons and then the Jets to finish up this season. So, this is a big stretch for the Bills.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think the Bills would have the tiebreaker too because we lost to the Dolphins.
Okay, that makes sense.
So
unless the Bills lose to the Jets or something.
Yes. So, take that what you will. But yeah,
right.
So I mean, division record, Patriots are currently 3-1. The Bills are currently 3-1. So yeah, I mean, the Patriots have the Jaguars and Dolphins to end the season too. So they should win both of those games. So it really comes down to next week probably decides the division winner.
Yeah, that should be very exciting. And again, for the Bills, like I don't know what we learned about the Bills that we didn't already know.
What's that?
I don't know what we learned with the Buffalo Bills that we didn't already know in this one.
No, I mean
Hmm.
they did a lot of the same stuff. I thought they were inconsistent at points again in this game, but
Hmm.
I mean they have a ton of talent, um, and
Yeah,
they showed it again in this one and got things done when they needed to.
yeah. All right. So Kyle, that's our show. We have a lot of games still left, though. Usually it's a week recap, but it kind of isn't because we still have what 4 games left this week.
Yeah, so obviously, anyone who hasn't seen the updates, first of all, what are you doing? Second of
Hmm.
all, so we got the Raiders and Browns tomorrow, along with the Vikings and Bears. Tuesday, we have the Seahawks and Rams, and the Balls and the Eagles. What fun time we have! I mean, I don't know. This stuff's all crazy right now. I mean, the way the league's going right now with the cases up and all that, it's crazy. I mean, I have opinions on it. I'm not really going to share them because people are absolute lunatics.
Hmm.
So I'd rather just avoid that. But at the same time, yeah, we got 4 more games to talk about.
Yeah, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong, Kyle. You're a big COVID is a hoax guy, right?
No, no, but
All right.
yeah, just everyone wants to, it's just everyone's getting riled up, man. Everyone's going crazy.
It's really great. And I noticed like the way people like tweet at things, it won't even be like, well, this is my opinion on it. It'll be like something like that's so like aggressive. I just don't even know how to like I don't know how to respond to this. Like I don't know how to say something that is connected to what you said and also connected to what my point is. I can't do this.
Yeah, you freaking idiot. This is my opinion and it's right. And yeah, oh my gosh.
And it won't even be like the perfect example is like talking about like the Ravens, they should have gone for it earlier. And it's like, yeah, but Aaron Rodgers would have had 42 seconds left and 1 timeout left, dummy. And it's like, what does that even mean? How is that relevant to what I'm talking about?
Yeah, crazy stuff. Um, yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens with these 4 games. Hopefully, there's no more postponements for the rest of the season. I know all the players kind of came out and said for the other teams that they were very unhappy with the situation,
Mhm.
but they're probably just looking forward to playing like Kendall Hinton at quarterback or something like that.
Yeah, my kind of opinion on this, like, and forget about like all the COVID stuff. It's just like, okay, delay the games. I want to watch football with people that are actually supposed to be playing football there. I'd rather watch it with the starters. I'll watch it on Tuesday.
Yeah, and it's just like, I don't know. We keep getting into this and it's like, well, it's not fair to me. And it's like, you know what? This shit's kind of not fair for anybody. I mean, let's
Uh-huh.
be real.
Yeah. Mhm.
And it's like you can't not get yourself sick. I mean, it happens. So it's just tough to it's tough to go one way or another with it. Obviously, it sucks for the teams, but at the same time they got to adjust.
Yeah. As the great TJ Levy says in the chat, follow me on Twitter at Jackson Kruger. So if you want to follow TJ, just go to at Jackson Kruger. That'll get you there.
Yeah, there you go.
All right. Kyle, where can they find you and the show page on Twitter?
Yeah, make sure to follow us on Twitter. That's follow me at by Cal Grondin. I almost messed up my own thing. And then follow the account page at on the sideline JK. That is at on the sideline JK.
Yeah. One last programming thing that we should mention. So let's just do it on the air because we were doing the planning and then we didn't finish it. But let's do it on air so everyone knows what's going on. Is that I'm traveling on Wednesday and I'm also going to be in Wisconsin on Sunday. So we're going to have a bit of a unique a week here. After this, I think we should be pretty good. So Kyle, what we're going to try to do is pre-record the show for Wednesday, and it might be a much shorter show, but kind of just doing our picks, and we'll pre-record that and still have it out on Wednesday, so you'll still have something. And then on, correct me if I'm wrong, but the recap might be a Tuesday night recap. So instead of the Sunday midnight recap that we like to do, we'll be doing it Tuesday night, so a little bit later, but we'll still get one out for you. Does that sound correct, Kyle?
Next Tuesday, like a week from Tuesday,
Yeah, a
right?
week from Tuesday, correct.
Yes. So that sounds good. Um, Yeah, unfortunately, we do travel over Christmas, so
Hmm.
we'll make it work. You're going to Wisconsin in December?
Yeah,
Are you crazy?
a little bit. I mean, my mindset has always been I can deal with the cold for a week. It's when it gets to like living in the cold and visiting the cold is totally different.
Yeah, I went to a football game on Saturdays that was sub 40s, and it's like, why do people do this for fun?
Yeah, I remember hearing a story about like a Patriots fan on Reddit, Patriots fan who went to it was like a Ravens Patriots playoff game, and he said it was one of the I think it was the game like Flacco like won with like 40 yards or whatever, and like he said like I went there, I bought a beer when I got to my seat, it was already frozen. I'm like, why would you do this? Stay home. What are you doing?
Yeah. You know what looks really cool is the TV broadcast of that game.
Yeah, while you're in a heated room in your house. Yeah. So yes. So Kyle and I will pre-record the show on Wednesday. I'm gonna try and still get some videos out Sunday. I plan on doing that and on Monday as well. Although I just won't be able to do the podcast. That's gonna be tough to find a place where I can be for an hour and 15, 30 minutes to do that. So, but yeah. All right. So that is our show. Any final thoughts? I guess that's it.
Yeah, 4 more games. We're gonna have Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, Sunday football. That's gonna be
Yeah.
some good stuff. So,
Hmm. Yeah, I mean that's kind of nice thing though. It's like I do kind of like having football on like 4 or 5 days a week.
I mean, with Wednesday and Friday, we'll have bowl games too. So, plenty of content to look at. Um, you know, also, Friday. What day is Christmas? Friday or Saturday?
Saturday.
Saturday. So we'll have NFL Saturday along with NBA Christmas Saturday. That'll be
Hmm.
some good stuff.
Can I give maybe a hot take? Bowl
What's
games
this?
don't really do it for me.
Oh,
If
I
it's
think they suck now, man. I really do.
okay, you're on the same page. I
Some
don't get the
people,
I don't get the point.
some people eat them up. I don't know. The Duke's Mayo Bowl doesn't do it for me anymore. I used to get really into it, and then I just realized that the players aren't playing, so why should I care?
Uh
Um,
huh.
and I don't know. College football to me has been kind of weird lately. I've been kind of in and out. I'll be honest.
Yeah, I mean I'll watch the playoff games. Those can be fun. I'll watch the championship. Go Cincinnati.
Mm. They're going to lose by
Okay.
30. But, go
Oh,
Cincinnati.
optimistic.
Yeah, no kidding.
All
So,
right. Well, good. That's our show, everyone. Kyle, any final thoughts before we head out?
no, I think we covered it. Let's get out of here.
All right, let's get out of here. Indeed, thanks to everyone for watching or listening. If you're an audio only listener, we have those. It's on the sideline podcast anywhere you get your podcast. Check that out. And of course, until next time, see you later, alligator.
Peace.